The European model is showing a full-blown nor'easter with 1 to 2 feet of snow. The GFS says basically nothing, and we're 72 hours out from impact. That's an insane spread between our two best models, and somewhere in the middle is what's actually going to happen this Valentine's Day weekend. Meanwhile, 122 inches of snow is headed for the Sierra Nevada. Severe weather is brewing from Texas to Alabama, and wind chills in Alaska just hit negative 57. We've got a lot of ground to cover across 90 cities. So buckle up and let me break this down, starting with who needs to pay the closest attention. Drop your city in the comments right now. I want to know where you're watching from and what you're hoping for this weekend. Snow or no snow? And if you've got family anywhere from Boston to Birmingham, do me a favor and send them this, because this system is bringing something for everyone. Stick with me through the city breakdown too, because at the end I've got some long-range intel that could save your Valentine's Day plans. All right, let me set the stage here, because understanding the atmosphere explains why the models are fighting so hard. For 3 weeks, every single model has been pointing to February 10th as the big pattern change date. Well, folks, it's February 12th now, and guess what? They were right, and everything is shifting as we speak. The warm spell we've been enjoying is about to get challenged by colder air pushing down from Canada. And that clash, warm Gulf moisture slamming into cold Canadian air, that's what's creating this monster storm. Right now, temps across the middle of the country are running 30 to 40 degrees above normal. That's absolutely bonkers for mid-February. We've got low 80s along the Gulf Coast, 50s and 60s in places that should be freezing. It's been feeling more like April out there. New York hit 48 degrees today, and honestly, a lot of folks were out in t-shirts enjoying every minute of it. But don't get too comfortable with that spring preview, because by Sunday, it could be a completely different world. Now, here's where it gets complicated, and this is the part that's been driving forecasters absolutely up the wall. The European model is showing this thing bombing out into a full-blown nor'easter, tracking right up the East Coast. If that solution verifies, we're talking 1 to 2 feet of heavy, wet, blowing snow from the Poconos through Jersey to Long Island. D.C., the West Virginia Panhandle, Western Maryland, all sitting in the bullseye for significant accumulation. And if this low gets what we call a negative tilt, basically meaning it starts to wrap up on itself, that's when the snow machine really kicks into high gear. But the GFS, our other main model, it's showing basically nothing, zero accumulating snow along the I-95 corridor. It kicks the whole system out to sea before it can really develop, leaving most of the Northeast with just cold rain. So we've got one model screaming major winter storm, the other saying complete non-event, and we're only 3 days out. Now, there's a computer tool that averages dozens of model runs together, and it's been really accurate this winter. Right now, that tool is siding more with the European solution, which tells me there's definitely a signal here for real snow. The exact amounts are still uncertain, but the possibility is real enough that you need to be paying attention. If you're along the I-95 corridor from D.C. to Boston, keep a close eye on the next 48 hours of model updates. Real quick, if you're in Philly, Jersey, or New York right now, I've got a question for you. If we get the European solution with a foot of snow Sunday night, are you calling out Monday morning? Drop a comment. I'm genuinely curious. Let me walk you through the timeline now, because the timing on this matters for your Valentine's Day plans. Today, Wednesday, February 12th, we've got a clipper system bringing some snow to the Northeast and Great Lakes. Nothing major, just a few inches in spots, but enough to make some roads slick and remind us it's still winter. Meanwhile, the main event is still organizing out west, with rain from San Francisco down through California. Thursday, things start to quiet down in the east, but the western storm really gets cranking. Utah and western Colorado are going to see above normal snowfall as moisture pumps into the Rockies. The low pressure starts to develop over Arizona and northwest Mexico, and this is the troublemaker we're watching. Friday, the system slides through the Texas Hill Country and into the lower Mississippi Valley. This is when severe weather becomes a real threat from Texas through Louisiana, Arkansas, and into Alabama. Moisture levels are running 300 to 400% above normal along the Gulf. That's a whole lot of fuel for storms. Saturday, Valentine's Day itself, the storm is in full swing across the southeast. Heavy rain and thunderstorms from Oklahoma down through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas. And here's where the snow question really heats up, because by Saturday night, the low could be deepening rapidly offshore. Sunday is decision time for the Northeast. Either this thing bombs out into a nor'easter or it doesn't, if the European is right. Sunday into Monday could be an absolute mess from D.C. to Boston with heavy snow and wind. If the GFS is right, you get rain, maybe a brief mix, and life goes on pretty much normally. All right, let me give you the city-by-city breakdown for today, starting with who's seeing the most action right now. I'm going to cover the snow zone first, then the severe weather zone, then what's happening out west. Buffalo, you're looking at 20 degrees with nearly 2 inches of snow today. Classic lake effect setup for you folks. That's not even from the main storm. That's just your everyday February in Buffalo. You know how to handle it. Chicago, 24 degrees with about an inch of snow. Nothing major, but enough to make the morning commute interesting. Detroit, 23 degrees with half an inch of snow. Similar story, just a clipper passing through on its way east. Pittsburgh, 20 degrees with light snow. And here's the thing. You're on the cold side of things, and that's actually good news. If this storm does come together, your position northwest of the track gives you much better snow chances than the coast. Cleveland at 29 degrees with light snow. Toledo at 16. Fort Wayne at 15, all locked into that cold pocket. Indianapolis, 25 degrees with about an inch of snow. You're right on the edge of where the cold air is setting up. Minneapolis and St. Paul, both sitting at 16 degrees with just a trace of snow. Cold but quiet for you right now. Madison and Milwaukee, 19 to 22 degrees with light snow. The Wisconsin crew is definitely feeling winter today. I know I'm rattling off a lot of cities here, but hang with me, because what happens in these spots determines what everyone else gets. Now let me shift to the Northeast, where the big story isn't what's happening today, it's what's coming this weekend. New York City, 48 degrees today. Yeah, you heard that right. 48 in February. Folks were out enjoying it like it's spring, but by Sunday that could flip to a foot of snow if the European model is right. Wild swing either way. Boston, 32 degrees with a trace of snow today. You're watching and waiting just like the rest of New England. The ensemble guidance gives you about a 50-50 shot at accumulating snow this weekend. Pure coin flip territory. Philadelphia, 39 degrees, enjoying mild temps today, but you're right in that zone where things could get very interesting. If this becomes a nor'easter, the Poconos and northern suburbs could see some serious accumulation. D.C. and Baltimore, 32 to 41 degrees. You're on the warm edge, but still in play if the storm track's close enough. The European model puts you smack in the bullseye. The GFS gives you nothing. That's the frustrating reality right now. Newark and Jersey City, 29 degrees. You're watching closely because a foot of snow would shut things down in a hurry. Hartford and Providence, 30 to 32 degrees. Southern New England, waiting to see which way this whole thing breaks. Now, here's the thing that makes forecasting this so maddening, and I want you to understand why we can't nail it down yet. The exact track of this low pressure determines absolutely everything about who gets snow and who doesn't. A shift of 100 miles north, and we're talking about a blockbuster snowstorm that shuts down the entire I-95 corridor. A shift of 100 miles south, and the storm stays offshore, leaving everyone with just rain and disappointment. That's why the models are fighting so hard. They're both trying to figure out the exact same puzzle with different answers. The European ensemble gives about a 30 to 50% chance of at least an inch of snow for the I-95 corridor. For 4 inches or more, those odds drop to about 30 to 40%. Still significant, but definitely not a sure thing. Now, 4 inches of snow in Boston, that's basically a Tuesday, no big deal. You grab a shovel and move on with life. 4 inches in Atlanta, though. That's a state of emergency. Schools closed. Nobody knows how to drive. Total chaos. Different worlds. Same storm. And that's what makes this job so interesting. The good news is the chance of major ice accumulation has decreased, so we're probably not looking at a big ice storm. All right, let me cover the severe weather side of this, because the South is dealing with a completely different threat. Texas is ground zero for thunderstorms Friday and Saturday, especially from Dallas down through Austin and San Antonio. All those cities are running 46 to 48 degrees today. Dry for now, but the moisture is on its way. Houston at 48 degrees. You're looking at heavy rain and possible flooding by the weekend. Keep an eye on those bayous. Little Rock and Texarkana are in the crosshairs for potential flooding. 2 to 4 inches of rain is on the table there. Memphis at 41 degrees. Jackson, Mississippi, Tupelo, all watching for heavy rain and embedded thunderstorms. Birmingham and Montgomery, 42 to 50 degrees. Severe weather is definitely on the table for Saturday night into Sunday. Atlanta at 42 degrees. You're getting soaked this weekend with heavy rain and possible thunder. Plan accordingly. The flooding threat shifts into southeastern Alabama, middle Georgia, and northern Florida by Sunday morning. Jacksonville at 59 degrees. You'll see some rain move through, but nothing too extreme for your neck of the woods. Orlando at 66 degrees, Tampa at 62. You're mostly on the edge of the system. Enjoy your relatively quiet weekend. And Miami, 70 degrees with zero impact. Somebody's got to be the lucky one, and this time it's you. Enjoy it. New Orleans at 55 degrees, Charlotte at 42, Raleigh at 42. All dealing with rain and possible storms this weekend. The Southeast Carolinas could see some flooding by Sunday as the heaviest rain pivots into that region. Now, let me tell you what's happening out west, because that story is equally impressive in a completely different way. The Sierra Nevada is about to get absolutely buried with snow. We're talking 122 inches over the next 10 days. Let me put that in perspective for you. That's over 10 feet of snow in the highest elevations. More realistically, 7 to 9 feet is what most ski areas are looking at, and that's still absolutely massive. If you're a skier or snowboarder, this is what you've been waiting for all season. The West is finally delivering big time. And it's not just the Sierras. The Cascades, the Pacific Northwest Mountains, the Rockies, all getting hammered with snow. This is critical for water supply too. Snowpack has been running way below normal, and this could turn things around. San Francisco at 51 degrees, Sacramento at 50, both getting rain in the valleys while snow piles up in the mountains. Los Angeles and San Diego, 51 to 60 degrees. You'll see some light rain, but nothing dramatic. Denver at 25 degrees with 2 inches of snow. Colorado Springs at 25. The Front Range is getting in on the action. Seattle at 41 degrees. Portland at 42. Rain for you in the lowlands. Snow piling up in the Cascades. Phoenix at 62 degrees. Las Vegas at 51. Tucson at 54. You desert folks are staying dry and comfortable as always. And up in Anchorage, 19 degrees with 2 inches of snow and those brutal wind chills we mentioned earlier. Negative 57 in spots. That's the kind of cold that's genuinely dangerous within minutes of exposure. Alaska is not messing around right now. Let me give you the extended outlook now because the pattern through late February is really interesting. After this weekend system moves through, we're looking at a classic trough west, ridge, east setup. That means continued active weather for the west with more storms rolling in from the Pacific one after another. The east stays relatively mild for a while, probably through about the 20th or so before any Arctic air makes a serious push. There's some signal for colder air trying to move in around the 22nd through the 27th, but nothing extreme. The true Arctic air is still bottled up in Alaska and Western Canada, not quite ready to plunge into the lower 48. For snow lovers in the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast, don't give up hope yet. There are still opportunities coming. The models are showing potential systems around the 20th to 23rd time frame that could bring accumulating snow. But as always with long-range forecasting, the details are fuzzy and could change significantly by then. The bottom line is February isn't done with us yet, and there's still time for winter to make a real comeback. Here's what I need you to do based on where you are right now, because different regions need different game plans. If you're in the I-95 corridor from DC to Boston, keep a close eye on the next 48 hours of model runs. Don't go out and buy all the bread and milk just yet. You know how that goes. But have a plan if this thing comes together. If the models start converging on the European solution by Friday, that's when you want to be ready for a significant snow Sunday. If you're in the severe weather zone from Texas to Alabama, be weather aware from Friday through Sunday morning. Make sure your phone alerts are on, know where your safe spot is, and keep an eye on your local forecast updates. If you're in the flooding zone from Arkansas through the Carolinas, stay off flooded roads, period. Turn around, don't drown. It only takes 6 inches of moving water to knock you off your feet and 12 to float your car. If you're out west heading to the mountains this weekend, chain up on those passes and respect the avalanche danger. 10 feet of snow sounds amazing for skiing, but it also means serious hazards in the backcountry if you're not careful. I want to hear from you before I wrap up. Your ground level observations help everyone understand what's really happening. If you're in the Great Lakes or Northeast dealing with today's Clipper, let me know what you're measuring out there. If you're out west watching the mountain snow pile up, drop your totals in the comments. I love seeing those numbers. And if you've got family or friends anywhere in the path of this weekend's system, share this video with them. That's what we're all about here, looking out for each other when the weather turns serious. The models update every 6 hours, and I'll be back with the latest numbers as soon as we get new data. The European and GFS are still miles apart on this one, and the truth is probably somewhere in between. We started this video at 72 hours out from impact, and by the time you're watching this, we're probably down to 60. The clock is ticking, the models are still fighting, and I'll be back with the verdict as soon as we have more clarity. 122 inches for the Sierras, a potential nor'easter for the Northeast, severe weather hammering the South. Valentine's Day weekend is shaping up to be one for the record books, one way or another. Stay weather aware, make smart decisions, and I'll see you in the next update when the models shift again. Because trust me folks, they always do.